the back end of last season was just absolutely fantastic for everybody associated with the club. What we achieved across the women's and the men's programmes has been fantastic, and it's given us just a huge opportunity for us to connect with our community and to grow the reach of the club in a way that is obviously really hard to come by. So it's been fantastic. We've had a great rest. Boys have had some downtime, staff have had some downtime, and our stadium team have hopefully had a bit of a rest as well. And we're now in a fantastic position to kickstart against Newcastle and to begin our season against Worcester in the next week and go for it again. This isn't really about a revolution. This is an evolutionary process for us, I think, as a club. So we've been quite tactical about the personnel that we've brought in, both in terms of a coaching perspective, but also in terms from playing personnel. We've brought in individuals that we think will technically take the group on, but also from a environmental perspective and culturally, we think they'll really positively drive more into the group and allow us to develop in that way. So, as I say, it's been a short pre-season for us, but that's the privilege of winning. So we'll take that any day. And I think in essence, that shorter period of time allows for a greater provision for sharper focus. So we're in a good space, and we're confident about the season ahead. We're confident about staying true to our identity and playing and living and behaving in a way that we think is appropriate and befits Harlequins. And so, yeah, hugely excited about the time we've had together in the summer and how that will help us build a positive performance for this season. We were very much the underdogs last year, through the season, even in the semi-final and the final. I think that suited us. So I'm really not particularly perturbed about any shift in that. We'll let the pressure sort of in that regard be felt by other people. But we know our abilities, we know our qualities as a group. We know that when we perform to those standards, and as I say, we perform in a way that we think is befitting to us, then we know we're extremely hard to beat. And as I say, I think we'll go out and deliver the best we can this season and see where we go. The season now and the league is going to be even more competitive. There's 13 teams in the league. Saracens are back in. So from a competitive nature, that's fantastic. They're an excellent team competitively, technically. So they'll set the standard higher, and that's great for all of us. So we know we have to continue to deliver the best performances that we can. But I think at a really basic level, always striving to improve has to be the very, very basics that we'd expect of everybody, and that's on the pitch, off the pitch. And I think if we continue to take what we're doing in training, we continue to what we're doing in terms of culturally around our values and our identity, and if we continue to fulfil delivery across those areas, as we've said for several months, then I think to some extent the performances will, and the outcome of those performances will to some extent take care of themselves, as we've found. So I think as long as we continue just to be honest and authentic to what we are as a club, and as I say, continue that improvement, then setting particular benchmarks. We'll obviously get into the playoffs, is where every club within the league has that as their aspiration. We're good enough, definitely, and we know that when we get into knockout rugby, we are difficult and we're dangerous. So that's the basics, and as I say, just generally improving every day we come into work will help get us there as well. Having been through this process once before, we've still got some key personnel in the playing department and in the non-playing department that were here at that time that can really help sort of shape what we think to be a sustainable structure to continue success. I think we've identified some of the key areas where we need to continue to focus on, where we've got gaps, areas where we can hopefully provide strength in depth across the group. We know we'll be victims of our success to some degree, and we'll probably lose some players to international duty, which is brilliant, because that's equally where it should be. We should be seeing those players get rewarded for their excellent performances. But I think if we've got the depth behind them in terms of technical ability, we've got the reassurance around the structure and the process that we want to execute, I still think we'll be in a really strong position for us to sustain that success. And as I say, without repeating myself, staying pretty authentic to the way in which we want to sort of play and the way we want to be as a club, I think will provide that sort of framework for future success as well. We know, we can see clearly 3 or 4 other teams in the league that are putting huge effort in to strengthen. So it's going to be a challenge for Gerard and Rach and the team. But again, we've got every confidence in the process that we execute. We've got a similar identity across the entire club, including the women's programme of how we expect to train and how we expect to play and be. So I've got every confidence that the girls and the team behind them are going to go out and have another stellar year, and we hope and we expect to be in the mix-up come the end. We've had a few test events and we've had our pre-season friendly here. And it's going to take a little bit of time for us to sort of reintegrate back into the norm. The stadium's been effectively mothballed for 18 months, so but we're very excited about getting the fans back in, and we're making some investments into the ground and to try and improve the supporter experience, some of which will be evident when fans are back in for the Worcester game, some of which wouldn't have been evident at the Cardiff game but will be at Worcester, and some of those other investments we're going to be rolling out as we go through the season, some of which require support and planning support from our colleagues at the council. But I guess supporters should be reassured that we acknowledge that there's areas we have to improve. We were aware of those pre-COVID. We've still created the investment flexibility within our financial model to continue to invest in the stadium to make that experience far better for everyone when they come back in. So I hope they'll continue to be patient with us, work with us, understand the direction of travel that we're going to try and go in to make, as I say, to make that supporter experience even better than it has been before, targeting the areas that we want to improve. And just really enjoy the performances that we've been putting on the pitch for the last 6 months. It's obviously clearly our intention to continue to play in that with that swagger and that style, and get behind the team as they have done from their armchairs for the last 18 months. We can't wait to have them in the Stoop, roaring the team on. Can't thank enough the continued support, and obviously some of that comes through. We're really confident at the moment. There's a real sort of air of confidence that's being bred through the team, through the staff, through the club, through our community. So I've got no doubt that that's what's driving a huge amount of interest in fan participation. The responsibility then is for us to deliver on and off the pitch. But you're absolutely right. Our season ticket membership is nudging towards record highs. This match day ticket sales for Worcester, for Bristol, for Bath, for Saracens are looking super strong. The first 2 games are really sort of edging towards a sellout, which is fantastic. And again, it's a real strong reflection of how the team are performing, how the club's performing, hopefully in terms of confidence for people to come back into live sporting events. And we're going to be working incredibly hard to try and deliver the best we can on and off the pitch for everyone when they come back in. So for now, I think we're probably expecting that Honours Bar may be out of use, but we're hoping that those interferences to the fan experience are going to be short-lived, and very quickly we'll have all areas of the ground back up and running as they normally were pre-COVID. There's still very much a goal and ambition to have a new stadium and to have a stadium that we think is befitting for us as a club, and welcomes as many fans as we can through the gates. But equally appreciating that it's been a really difficult financial landscape for us for the last 18 months. And I think it's going to take us a couple of years for us to fully come out of this. We've obviously, in order to ensure our financial sustainability, we've taken on more debt through government help and support. That's going to have to be paid back over the next the next few seasons. So I think ensuring that we get the model and the economic and financial security around the club that we've got now in the short term is our first priority. But there remains a real target and a real ambition, as I say, to grow our stadium and to grow our community base. I think investing in the infrastructure now is where we're going to put some focus. And you're right, we're making some investment in some areas of the ground that will enhance that supporter experience. So we're looking at developing the north end of the ground to create bigger space for fans, so when they come in, it's not so cramped. It allows us to give a better food and beverage provision, better arrival experience. We're investing in our PA system, so the sound quality of what you hear on a match day is far better. And I think really it should be our commitment not only to deliver good performances off the pitch in terms of our rugby style, but rugby and live sport should be experiential. So everything else that goes with that should hopefully match the performance levels that we do on the pitch. So we've ring-fenced investment into the ground to make sure that the product that we have here and now is the best that it can be. And as I say, it's going to take a little bit of time to transition that. Equally, from staffing levels, it's hard for us. We've had to deal with Brexit. We've had to deal with COVID. That's created significant pressures on us and our ability and our catering partners' ability to recruit and staff large-scale live events, particularly in a city like London where there's many events going on the same day. And we know for Worcester, for example, some of the other major sporting venues in London are all operating on the same day. So it puts us with enhanced pressure. But I think getting the process of what we've got here and now fit and better is our biggest priority in the short to medium term. We are acutely aware that so many of our fans financially supported us through the last 18 months, which was a huge help for us and a huge boost. Made life considerably easier. And equally, there's been other forms of support, whether it's emotional and not just financial, and driving the team on through their communications with everything that we do and interacting with us, whether that's writing to us, whether that's through social media interaction and engagement. So we've got a real responsibility to try and provide some sort of means of qualifying that support for us. So we've got plans for something hopefully a little bit later after the season kicks off, where we'll hopefully be providing some opportunity for our supporters that have financially supported us through the last 18 months to engage with the team and the club in a slightly different way. So watch this space, and once we've got more comfort around our COVID restrictions and how they're lifted and eased, we'll be communicating out about that. And we've got a couple of other plans just around things that maybe aren't quite so front-facing, but will be a little bit more private, but we'll find ways that will resonate with the players and will give them that sort of that reassuring boost and feeling of support as they go about their everyday business, either here at the Stoop or maybe down at SSP. So we've certainly got a couple of things in the pipeline that we'll be excited to share, hopefully in the very near future. I mean, I've been attending as a fan as well for a few of those sort of 12 editions previously. We were super depressed about the fact that we couldn't get last year's out. It's such a big part of our fixture calendar, not only in terms of bringing our community together and having the biggest live sporting event over Christmas, certainly in the UK, is a big accolade for us as a club, and I think it demonstrates the reach that we've got. But it's a big financial input for us as well, so to not have it obviously certainly intensified the financial stress for us. So to get that out the door, our sales this week have been fantastic, like comfortably. It's been the biggest conversion we've ever had in the first week of launching a big game. It has subsequently meant that we've had a couple of teething issues with some of the onboarding, with ticketing and the platform, so apologies about that, but I think that's partly been resultant of the demand that we've had, but I think those have been straightened out now, and as I say, the foundation's been laid to deliver a supercharged Big Game 13. We've announced the creative theme to it this week as well through the launch, and we've got some other big plans that we're going to be announcing soon around supporting performance acts that will again create a far bigger experience that just extends beyond rugby, and we're hugely excited about that as well. And just to convene over Christmas at Twickenham against Northampton is going to be fantastic, and to have the first ever Allianz 15s match, the first opportunity for our women's team to play a competitive fixture at Twickenham, is just going to add to the whole occasion of being a fantastic day for the club, and can't wait for it. We've got over 50 affiliate clubs across London and Surrey and Sussex. We're growing that rapidly. And those two bits of silverware just give us a huge opportunity to amplify the message of what we are as a club and how we can support our community. And it's not just across community clubs and affiliate clubs. It should be across schools and across coaching. It should be in partnership with our foundation. We've got a real unbelievable opportunity now to really sort of help us take the message of what Harlequins is and what we stand for and how we're there as a community rugby club. So yeah, we started last week. We've got a real clear itinerary across the rest of the autumn and the winter, and that will go into spring. And that will be embraced by our players, our coaching staff, our stadium staff, the board. We're all looking forward to getting out and meeting our supporters and sharing a little bit of our story of the journey we've been on and the expectations of how we want to take the club forward in the next few seasons and beyond.